Happy New Year! And my goal for today is to help make it even happier for you. How? By improving your financial health. Hi everyone, I'm David Scranton, and thank you for clicking on today's video. You know, New Year's is a time when many people vow to make improvements in their lives. And the two areas that people tend to focus on the most are health and finances. And unfortunately, most people also fail to stick to their New Year's resolutions. But that doesn't have to be you this year. In fact, if you want to get more financially fit in 2022, you can start by subscribing to the Retirement Income Store newsletter, because we're offering our viewers a complimentary 12-month trial subscription to our newsletter. All you have to do is click the link in the description to sign up for a free 1-year subscription to the Retirement Income Store newsletter. You see, I believe that you can improve your financial health in 2022, and you might actually end up improving your overall physical and mental health in the process. We'll talk more about that on today's show, entitled 20 Tips to Improve Your Financial Health This Year. Specifically, we'll cover the importance of having the right mindset, the importance of taking the right approach, as well as tips to help improve your household finances, tips to help improve your savings and investment strategies, and tips you'll find especially helpful if you're in or nearing retirement age, that is, a member of the income generation. So let's start with the mindset and the approach. Tip number 1, make goals, not resolutions. You see, resolutions tend to be more like hopes and wishes, whereas goals are more concrete. They can be quantified, they can be tracked. Step 2, make small, specific goals. It's easy to get overwhelmed and to give up on your goals if they're too big or too vague. But people who succeed tend to set smaller goals that are ultra-specific and ultra-realistic. Number 3, make a plan and include a timeline. Let's say your goal is to save more money. How will you do it? How much and with what frequency? Does it make sense to do it weekly or maybe monthly? Step 4, track your progress. The only way to see that your progress is going in the right direction is by tracking it. And also help you recognize the challenges that might be preventing you along the way. Here's the good news. Financial goals are easy to track. Why? Because really they're simply a matter of basic math. And number 5, realize that for your behavior to change, your consciousness needs to change. That just means realizing your goals need to be written in your mind as well as on paper, because you need to think about them. You need to focus on them constantly and you need to prioritize them. But what specifically are some good financial goals to strive for? Well, start with these 5 steps to improve your household finances. 1, take a hard, honest look at your monthly spending. Add up all your fixed and variable expenses and compare those to your income. Determine how much is left over at the end of each month and look for opportunities to increase that amount where you can. Number 2, use the information from your spending review to make a budget. See, keeping a budget is the most surefire way to track your spending and to gauge your progress towards your goals. Step 3, check your emergency fund. If you don't have one, make it a priority to create one, because ideally your emergency fund should contain enough to cover 6 or more months of living expenses just in case. Number 4, make decreasing your debt a priority. Even if you're already good about managing debt, consider taking steps to help reduce and consolidate it even further. And step 5, identify your retirement goals. And this is especially important if you're over the age of 55, because the sooner you know what your goals are, the sooner you can start creating a financial strategy specifically designed to achieve them. Now, let's take a look at 5 ways to make sure your money is working as hard for you as it should be this year. Number 1, increase your employer-matched contributions to your 401k or other retirement accounts. If you're over the age of 50, you can also make catch-up contributions to some of the accounts. Step 2, if you have other investments, review them to determine how much of your return might be getting eaten up by hidden fees. Step 3, Take advantage of tax-efficient investing. Just like fees and other investment expenses, income taxes on your earnings can have a major impact on the net performance of your portfolio. Step 4, tune out the hype you get from most of the financial media. Remember, a lot of analysts are more interested in getting ratings and pleasing advertisers than they are to helping you meet your goals. And step 5, get educated. About what? About all the different savings and investment options that are actually available to you. Because not knowing and not understanding all your options actually increases the odds that you'll end up using strategies that actually work against your goals. So make this year, 2022, the year that you get informed about investments. Now, let's take a look at 5 steps that you should take this year. If you haven't already, if you're retired or within 10 or 15 years of retirement. Step 1, calculate your Social Security income and make a plan to help maximize those benefits. Regardless of how much you've saved, having the right Social Security strategy can be one of the most important steps in retirement planning. Step 2, create an estate plan if you don't have one. Estate planning isn't just about protecting your assets after you've died. It's not just about a will. In fact, it's central to helping you protect your money and to maximize your income throughout retirement. Step 3, focus on your health. Healthcare costs and inflation are among the biggest challenges that you're going to face in retirement. So the healthier you can be, the better off you are, and the more you can actually enjoy your money. Step 4, review your retirement goals. Naturally, if you haven't identified them by now, do that first. But even if you have, revisit them. Why? To make sure they're still realistic and they're still accurate based upon any changes in your life. Determine whether they're performance-based goals aimed at making a major purchase or leaving a large legacy where you're focused on total return without any care as to whether it comes from interest and dividends or growth, or whether your goals are income-based goals geared toward things like providing retirement income, which allows you to travel and to enjoy your favorite pastimes, with as little stress as possible. Now, for most of you, of course, the answer is going to be income-based, which brings us to step 5, which is to shift your financial strategy from portfolio growth to portfolios that generate income, retirement income, and preferably with the help of an advisor that specializes in income. And now it's time to bring in today's guests. We have, of course, Jeff Small, president of Arbor Financial Services, a retirement income store located in Melbourne, Florida. Jeff, hey, great to have you back here. First time I'm actually seeing you in 2022.
Happy New Year, Dave. Glad to be here.
Happy New Year to you, too. And a big Happy New Year to today's special guest, and that's Jim Rogers, chairman of Rogers Holdings and Beeland Trust Incorporated. Jim Rogers, thanks so much for being back with us here on The Income Generation.
I am delighted to be here. I wish I were in Florida. It's the middle of the night here.
There you go.
Well, we'd love to have you in Florida, Jim, but we'll have to settle on our call today. Now, we're talking about 2022, and I want you to consult your deep thought processes on your financial genie and say, hey, what is the market going to be like for 2022? Is the bull market rally going to continue? Because things look pretty good right now. Employment's good. Companies are making money. Inflation is not that good, but that's good for the markets in some ways. So give us your take on 2022, Jim.
Well, you're going to see lots of things go higher for a while. I mean, you have governments all over the world printing staggering amounts of money like has never been done in history. So for a while, things will be great. But eventually, later this year, I would suspect it's all going to pop and explode, and we're going to have a terrible bear market. I mean, I hope it's not the end of the world. We've had bear markets many, many, many times throughout history. I hope we all survive. This one's going to be a very bad one, but I hope we all survive.
Well, I don't think we're expecting to earn 27% like we did in 2020. But I think the year so far does look like it's pretty good. And as long as companies are making money, Jim, the markets will be okay. It's when earnings go south. So you're saying that the money printing will affect earnings?
Well, eventually, the money printing, either things get so high that people just say, I'm going home, I'm not going to play this game anymore, or interest rates start going up and the central banks lose control. And when interest rates go up higher and higher, people realize they got to get out of the market because a bear market is coming. I mean, it's not as though this hasn't happened thousands of times before in history. Yes, the economies are great, most places in the world right now, but we've never had a bull market that goes on forever, except in the minds of some politicians.
Yeah, Jim, it's interesting. I'm concerned because often we have inflation. It's almost exclusively from the demand side of the equation, not the supply side of the equation. But right now, it's really both. And if they overtreat the demand side by raising interest rates and trying to slow things down, that could send us to recession. So do you think the biggest risk right now to our economy in 2022 is the Fed making a misstep?
That is always a great worry. Yeah. Most central banks are not very smart. You know, they're bureaucrats or academics who can't get a real job. So they go to work for the government. They don't have a clue what's going on in the real world. And they nearly always make mistakes, not just ours, but everybody's. And eventually, of course, do you think this is going to go on forever? If so, David, hallelujah, hallelujah.
No. You're preaching to the choir here, but here's my question. You know, things can always go down longer than we think and go up for longer than we think. So if you had to handicap it, and I know I'm asking you for a crystal ball issue, but you know, do you think is greater than a 50% chance that we slide into a bear market before the end of 2022? Or do you think maybe greater than a 50% chance we might just be able to push the pain out to 2023? Your best guess.
I would say there's a greater than 50% chance that this is over by the end of 2022. That does not mean it can't go up for a while, and often you have a blow off when you have markets like this. Right. You know, when things just explode for a while. This could very well explode. If you remember I'll use the US since we're all Americans, you know, at the end of 1999, oh my God, the NASDAQ doubled in a few months or something. I mean, you have the crazy things happen, and that could well happen again. But they always end badly when they end.
Jim, my financial resolution for 2022 really is to come out and hang with you in Singapore. Is that okay?
Well, I think Singapore will probably come out of all this better than many other countries. So by all means, come on over and I'll buy you a beer.
So, you know, I would love to do that, by the way. Listen, you know, we see a lot of folks out there today in the investing community from Main Street America who are really complacent about their money. And their complacency is very similar to the 2007 complacency that we saw in the markets, to the 1998 and 1999 complacency that we saw in the markets. What should those folks from Main Street America have for a financial resolution for 2022? What would you say to them?
Well, I guess I'd say watch income generation to figure out what's going on, because once you understand what's going on, you'll get word. And once you get word, you'll get prepared. I mean, we've seen all this before. I mean, anybody who hasn't seen it can just read about it. You know, at the end of a bull market, things go up all the time. New people come into the market. They tell their friends, oh, I've discovered this new thing, the stock market, and it's fun and it's easy. And you can make money, and it's easy to make money. It always happens. And SPACs, you know, SPACs have been around for a few hundred years, but they always come back at the end of a long bull market, and it always ends badly in the end. I mean, I don't like it at all, but I've seen this rodeo before.
Well, I think from a resolution standpoint, I think the bull market's going to continue. It's when the SPACs run out of money and we see the money train kind of crash along with the lack of stimulus by the Fed that's going to cause a market calamity, Jim. And so, I mean, I think we're probably 12 to 18 months away from having that happen.
Well, as I said before, I suspect by the end of 2022, we will start seeing problems in the markets. I mean, who knows? I mean, if they print enough money, there's a theory around now called MMT, more money today. If they do that, it could go on a couple of years. I mean, some of these, if you go back and look at wild bubbles in history, some of them have just gone on unbelievably, and absurd things happen. But they have always ended badly. Listen, I haven't sold anything. I'm not short. I'm not selling short. But I'm just telling you, this is not going to last forever. And when it ends, it's going to be the worst bull market in my lifetime, worst bear market in my lifetime. We had a bear market in 2008 because of too much debt. Oh my gosh, since then, debt all over the world has skyrocketed. The next bear market has to be a bad one.
So Jim, I know you haven't sold anything yet, but let's face it, most people listening to you right now don't have Jim Rogers money, okay? So what's your best advice? Your best advice for those income generation members that are either retired or within 10 years of retirement in light of your concerns about the financial markets today?
Well, my very best advice is do not listen to hot tips, especially at this stage of the market. Do not invest in anything unless you yourself know a lot about it. Yes, you can watch income generation, but even then, only invest in what you yourself know a lot about, because when things start going wrong, you don't know what to do unless you know a lot about it yourself. And that's how people get wiped out when bear markets come.
Yeah, it makes sense. Get educated. And, how about real quick, what's your best advice for sticking to New Year's resolutions versus the majority of the population that make New Year's resolutions and let them fall to the wayside year after year?
Well, since we're talking about investments, most assets are bonds are in a bubble. Stocks are beginning to form bubbles. Property in many countries is a bubble. The only assets that aren't up already are commodities. Silver is down 60% from its all-time high. Sugar is down 60%. If I were suggesting for people to invest, I would say, look at the things that haven't gone up a lot yet, and maybe there are opportunities there. And with everybody printing a lot of money, normally real assets do better than paper assets.
Yeah, certainly don't buy the things that are clearly in a bubble right now. Good advice, as always. Jeff Small, Jim Rogers, thanks so much for being here with us on The Income Generation. Thank you for watching today's video, 20 tips to improve your financial health in 2022. If you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up button to give us a like, and also make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel for new content each and every week.